It's time for the Stephanie G Show. Okay. Welcome to the Stephanie G Show. Stephanie, do your thing, girl.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Representative Mr. Wendell Gilliard, and we're talking and discussing the verdict in the George Zimmerman trial. So we're going around on this Stephanie G Show, and we're listening, putting our ears to the street and listening to the voice of the people. Mr. Wendell, Representative Wendell Gilliard, thank you for this interview.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. Yeah.
And I want to get your opinion. What is your opinion and your perspective when you heard the verdict, when the verdict first came in, the not guilty verdict for George Zimmerman?
Well, I was awestruck, because I was following this incident from day one when it first happened. I think it was last year during the spring that this unfortunate incident took place. But it did not come out the way a lot of people thought it would. Evidently, the judicial system has failed us once again in the greatest country in the world. Now, whether we as a people decide to go by the wayside and go silent, or whether we decide to do something about it, let our voices be heard, but more importantly after that, it has to be a continuance. Are we going to get committed? Are we going to get involved when it comes to social aspects in our lives? Especially when you look at the government here in this country. So many times that we have failed our society, and believe me, we ought to be held responsible. Now, the only way you're going to change that, the only way you're going to get positive results, first you have to get rid of the people, what I call the infiltrators in our society, the people who sit in these positions, that make these laws, that take these votes and measures in their own hand, and we have to respect the political process. Here we are with the executive, judicial, and the legislative powers of government. And believe me, we have failed this country far too many times. Whether it's in the Congress, whether it's in the U.S. Senate, whether it's government on all levels, we have to hold elected officials accountable. Okay? Now, everybody is far too many times when these decisions come down and we know that they're wrong, everybody is like, all right, we need to get together. Let's all come together. Well, I got a news flash. We've been coming together since the 50s, since the Till, Edmund Till. You remember when his mother decided to put her son on display for the world to see what prejudice and hatred and racism looks like. We had physical evidence what it actually looked like. Well, back then, I was 1 year old. I was back during 1955. We as a people back then were yelling, oh, we need to come together. Oh, we have to make changes. Oh, what are we going to do? Well, guess what? Here we are years later. And all the infamous other murders that took place that our judicial system has failed us on as a country. We ought to be ashamed to stand by and just do nothing, is my point. You're only going to make change when you get committed and you get involved. Yes, okay?
That's so true.
And I'm talking about government. Get involved in government at all levels. Okay. We need to hold people. It's the people we need to hold responsible.
Yes. Yeah. Now, what is your perspective and view on the Stand Your Ground law? How do you feel about that?
The Stand Your Ground law,
do you think it's something that needs to be changed, or needs to be more, the law needs to be more
it needs
specific?
To be more specific.
Yes.
I mean, obviously no one was there when it took place, so no one can really understand the intensity of the situation. So, but there's a Stand Your Ground law for a reason, and it just needs to be more elaborated so that situations like this never occur.
Can you tell us your opinion, perspective on what do we need to do as a people, as a community, as the human race to try to stop this from happening again? What can we do?
That was a very good point you brought up about the verdict being solidified, and we can't change it, so we have to change ourselves. That is what we have to do. It starts with our community. It starts with putting a focus back on our young men and rearing our children. You know, as the scripture goes, train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, he's not going to depart from it. But that's so true, because there's a detachment between the younger generation and the older generation. And I think that we also need to solicit the help from our lawmakers, be more informed about the laws going around, and actually putting our voice to be an influence, not just sit back and say, oh, well, you know, so-and-so's doing this to me, or so-and-so's doing this to me. We want our voices to actually be heard, and it starts with self-reflection within our own communities, and it starts with our lawmakers and being informed.
That's right, awesome. And I've heard like some people say that when this verdict came in, that they feel that our black males don't feel that they have value in this society. Can I get your take on that? And that was somebody else's opinion. But can you agree with that, or can you or disagree?
No, I'm on that same wavelength. We did a rally that was a community forum in the aftermath of the verdict, and one of the opinions that came out there was, well, you know, Michael Vick killed a dog.
Yeah.
And
that too, yeah.
he got 2 years in jail, but a young male was shot unarmed, and this killer walked free. I could see how our young men could feel that way, based on everything that's against them within our education system, within the capitalization and industrialization of the prison system, and the whole new Jim Crow, the whole philosophy of, well, we technically can't discriminate against you because of your color, but the blemishes that you make in trying to live a productive life, the mistakes that we all make, they're now being held 10 times more accountable for those same mistakes, and they're being labeled, and they feel like the world is against them.
Yes.
It's the situation. I mean, it depends on the situation. I mean, no one really has any idea what actually happened
Took place, yes.
besides Zimmerman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we really have no idea what the actual circumstances were. But I think in certain situations you should be able to stand your ground. But I think in this case he went a little too overboard with it.
I think stand your ground law needs to be rearranged, because Zimmerman pursued him, so you really didn't stand your ground.
Yeah.
So if Trayvon came towards him, then that could have been stand your ground, but he didn't really stand your ground. Plus, if you kill someone, I don't care if you're innocent or not, you go to jail that day. You don't go home.
Where do you think the prosecution went wrong at? Why do you think this case was lost on the judicial in the court system and inside that courtroom?
Well, when you look at the makeup of the jurors itself, you had a problem with that. You say, a lot of people like me felt it should have been more diverse. Okay, it wasn't. We failed in that respect. I truly believe when you look at the prosecutors and the jurors, they had problems. To me, it was like, oh, this is just another African American young man, and given the stigma that they live upon in this country, we'll do the right thing, which was the wrong thing
yes.
from a humane standpoint. But they thought they were doing the right thing. But when I look at that prosecutor, and I look at those jurors, and now knowing some of their comments that they
Have
kicked
said,
the doors down
yes.
publicly to come out and start talking about,
Yes.
we had problems on that jury. And you can make comparison, and my best comparison, when you look at what happened to Michael Vick. Here's a man who got persecuted because what he did with animals. And I'm an animal lover myself, but I knew that penalty was too harsh. You understand where I'm coming from?
Exactly
because
where
whether
you're
we
coming
like
from.
it or not,
Yeah.
Michael Vick, and he still is to this day, is a role model. Okay? I mean, everybody has vices. Okay? But that penalty, because Michael Vick was rich, he was powerful, and he was black, and he paid the cost, is what old Clarence Thomas said one time, this is a high-tech lynching, and that's what you saw happen the other day. So why would you let a man, that had a problem with animals, you let him get prosecuted to the highest? They tried to destroy Michael, okay?
Yes.
Only because of the fact of who he was, okay? But more importantly is the fact that he was black. Now here you have an incident where somebody took a life of a human being, took a life. You see what I'm saying?
I see exactly where you're coming from.
And now he gets off scot-free. Well, my God, even Miss Alexander down in Florida. Remember now, she used the stand your ground law too. It's the young lady that fired that shot.
Marissa Alexander,
And she got 20 years for firing a shot.
And now
that didn't kill anybody.
And now all of those cases that are in regards to the same situation are getting
That's right.
national
attention.
coverage. Yes. So this has been going.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to play Nostradamus here. You know, I like to be real. Now, I want everybody to understand, if we don't resolve what we need to do in this country as a people, whether you're black or white, any creed or color, I can almost assure you that there will be other incidents of such.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.